Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me this week. I wanted to look at why some of us are so fearful of being assertive. Why is it so difficult for us to really express what we want and our needs and our boundaries in our close relationships? I personally don't have a problem with being assertive. I always speak my mind and I tend to in fact, not have much of a filter. So whatever comes to my head, I say it. But I know that a lot of other people and even some of my friends around me find it difficult to be assertive and maintain boundaries. Now, I've made many videos on boundaries and I feel like it's incredibly important for us, for our growth and self-awareness. But it's no good having boundaries if you can't assert them and stick with them and just speak up for yourself when you need to. So basically applying those boundaries. Assertiveness holds this stigma around it that if you're assertive, then you could come across very bitchy or rude or disrespectful. And so a lot of people fear being assertive. They'd rather not rock the boat and keep the peace and brush things under the carpet rather than sticking up for themselves. And in essence, it kind of boils down to a lack of self-confidence and self-esteem. That's why we find it, or we're fearful of being assertive. Because when you have confidence in yourself, you're self-aware, you know your likes and dislikes, you know what you will and won't stand for, then you understand that being assertive in certain situations isn't actually rude. It's you asking for the respect that you deserve. But if you don't have that self-awareness, then you fear of, oh, what if I say that and they might not like me or they might not agree with me? And so it's holding you back. So that's why I always give you guys tools in my videos, things like becoming more self-aware, meditation, affirmations, positive and empowering mindset. All these things over time build our self-confidence, which in turn makes us more assertive in our boundaries and things that we won't stand for. So that's why it's important for us to take things from all the things that we know. All these little tools come together to help us build on that confidence. And it's important for us to look at why or where this fear is coming from. It's even more harder to be assertive when you're dealing with someone who's narcissistic or emotionally abusive, or someone who's got quite a strong personality but not necessarily in a positive way. Someone who's a little bit cocky and overconfident, and so that assertiveness that we already fear then becomes tenfold as bad, because with someone who's narcissistic, we know that even if we express how we feel, we're going to be made to feel very stupid, we're going to get gaslit, and we're just going to get discarded off. So that's why we have this fear of, if I say this, what will happen? However, this little fear stems from something else. And in order for us to really figure out why we have this fear of being assertive is for us to really look deep and see what this story that we've made up about assertiveness means to us. There's always a story attached to anything that we do. There's always some sort of trauma or incident or something that has happened before that made us feel a type of way about an emotion, and so we just try and run away from it or dismiss it or just suppress it and bury it instead of dealing with it. And then it comes out in other ways and we project it. So the same way with assertiveness. If you lack being assertive and confident and speak up for yourself, then it comes from a codependent mindset or a people-pleasing mindset. And if that's the case, why? It's always the why that we need to look at. The next tip for you to know when you're being assertive is to actually be aware of your boundaries. If you know your boundaries, then it's very easy to see where you're getting triggered. It's like you know what you stand and don't stand for, and the minute that's crossed, then you know that at this point I need to now stick up for myself because this goes against what I believe in. But if you're someone who doesn't have clear boundaries or don't really know your boundaries so well, then just pay attention to your gut feeling and how you feel about the situation. If at any point you feel hurt or disrespected, upset about the situation, then don't dismiss that, validate it. That is a boundary of yours that's being crossed. It is making you feel bad about yourself. Therefore, it goes against what you naturally should feel or think. And so just pay attention to that. So if you don't have a clear-cut boundary set out in a situation, then make sure that pay attention to the way you feel. And if there is an interaction or something that took place, a situation, and then you come home and you think about it and you think, you know what, that really made me feel uncomfortable, or I really don't like the way someone spoke to me, then that's when it's time for you to be assertive and understand that this must be one of my boundaries or something that I just will not stand for. So that's why it's important for us to pay attention to the way we feel, especially if we don't have clear boundaries. Now, some people still find it quite difficult to approach someone and head on, like, speak about something. And if you're one of those people and find it incredibly difficult to speak up, then look around you, and in your group of friends or family, or even like a celebrity or someone you follow, someone you watch, you see how they carry themselves, someone you look up to, someone you aspire to, and you see how they do things and you think they're great, like they're really articulate, they're very well spoken, they can communicate their point, they can stand up for what they believe in, and I really like that. If you have someone like that and you're put in a predicament where you have to speak up your mind, then the best thing to do is to actually make that person your alter ego and approach as them. Like, if I look up to my mom a lot in a situation, I would say, what would my mom do? How would she handle this? And I would go up there and be like, I'm going to be her, and I'm going to reenact this scene, and how would she handle this? And whichever way she decides to handle it is, I'd kind of pretend to be her and do that. So if you find it extremely difficult to be yourself and do that, in order for us to get there and practice and feel more confident, then it's okay for us to turn into an alter ego and pretend to be someone else and act a scene and just speak up and speak out for what we believe in or what we want to stand up for. One thing I would say to you guys is that it's no good rehearsing in your head what you're going to say. Because the more you rehearse and the more you put pressure on it, the more you're going to make yourself anxious and work yourself up. And if it doesn't go to script or to plan, which most times when your emotions take over, it really doesn't, then you will feel lost and panicked because, oh my God, like I practiced this and it's not going to plan and now I don't know what to say. So the best thing to do is to show up tall, head held high, you're proud to be there, you're sure of yourself, you're confident, and try and speak slowly. By speaking slowly, it's not necessarily rehearsing, but it is you giving yourself time to really think about what you want to say and not let your emotions get the better of you. So if you want to articulate something correctly, or you want to speak your mind or really express how you feel, try and give yourself the time to speak very slowly. And that gives you, like, you come across purposeful, like you know what you're saying, you're sure of it, these are you're standing by your words. So try and pay attention to your pace rather than what you're gonna say, because you don't know what the interaction is gonna go by and what the other person's gonna say back to you. So you need to be prepared for it, but by slowly digesting what's being said, you can then give yourself time to come back with the answer that you wanna really say, rather than overthinking it later and thinking, I wish I had said this at the time, because that's never nice. If you're one of those people who's fearful of coming across rude in order to assert yourself, then this tactic is a great way, because you're expressing yourself in a very calm, loving way. You're just telling someone how you feel. And if that's taken the wrong way, then you know for sure that you're dealing with someone who's quite narcissistic or emotionally abusive, and it's nothing to do with what you're saying. Thing is, it's so important for us to know and learn how to be assertive. It's one way for us to maintain our boundaries. It's another way for us to show self-confidence and self-worth. And finally, it's just about being around people that really make you feel good and respect your wishes and your boundaries. The problem is that when we're a little bit weaker, a little bit in this people-pleasing mode, or like we shrink ourselves and make ourselves small to accommodate and make other people feel good. People who are emotionally abusive and narcissistic tend to pick up on this. It's like a shark in the sea. When they smell blood, they go for it. So that's why there is this big dynamic between a codependent and a narcissist, and the relationship just gels so well, because one's a total giver and one's a total taker, and it's the same dynamic here. If you're someone who's shy and lacks confidence, lacks self-assurance, then these people who are love feeding off that energy can pick up on it, and so you will always end up meeting quite narcissistic, quite emotionally abusive people, because that's the energy and that's the message that you put out. So that's why it's important for us to learn how to be assertive when you need to be assertive. It doesn't mean you go around just being rude to everybody, but it's about understanding that this is where my boundaries cross, and there needs to be some sort of repercussion for people disrespecting me. There needs to be a consequence, and I need to speak up, because even if it's done mistakenly or accidentally, they need to be aware of their actions, and so that it doesn't happen again, because the next time it happens, then they're doing it on purpose, and it's more disrespect than a mistake, which is also important for us to differentiate between the people around us. Is someone genuinely nice to me, or are they just being nice for the sake of it, and they're quite fake and their intentions aren't good? So that's why it's important for us to learn to be assertive and speak our minds. I hope you guys found this helpful, and if you feel like this will help someone else, please do share it with them. Please do like and comment on this video. Subscribe to my page, and I will see you guys here again next week. Thank you for watching. Mwah.